What's up, fantasy people? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Jason, the lucky bastard Ethan Wolf, coming at you live from the West Coast. And this is the Fantasy Football Show. Today's episode, what is it, Jason? Divisional round? What would you call this weekend?
Weekend wrap up.
Yeah, but last weekend was wild card. I think next.
This is divisional round. The divisional round details. Divisional round.
So it's the divisional whatever wrap up. Next weekend is the conference championship wrap up. So we got to watch all of the games. That's the amazing thing about fantasy or football playoffs is they put all the games on pretty much basic cable. So except that was last week when they had the Monday night. So we're good this week. Jason, before we get into all these games, would you please take a second and tell the public how they could help this show?
Yes. The public can help the show by giving us a little subscription and maybe giving us a like or two. We would like the likes. And, leave some comments. We had some good comments on a couple of our shorts this past weekend, which is great. We love the interaction. We love getting your guys' insight too. We can see like, oh yeah, I totally understand where they're coming from. Or I'm just like, oh, these jabronis don't know what they're talking about. But I gotta play it cool. You gotta be nice on the web, the World Wide Web. Also, we have the Fantasy Football and Show Instagram. Hopefully someday I could put it like right here. That'd be tight and be like, "Bing, ding." If you want some more additional content, like the list of Tyler's loose rankings.
Yeah, so a big episode, if you missed it, was our top 25 wide receivers for the next fantasy football season. That came out. We already have our running backs. We're going to be coming out with the quarterbacks, tight ends, defense, and kickers, Jason.
Yeah.
JK. Jason.
Oh, sorry. I was like, my laptop is like plugged in, but I'm like, I don't think I have it plugged into the wall. So I was like, oh, I hope we never do the defense or the kickers. Gosh, that would be awful. I don't think we would get any views on that. We don't get any views now, really, but I think it'd be less on kickers and defense.
We get at least 2 views every single show we put out, Jason. I watch it.
And I watch it.
You watch it. I thumbs up it. You thumbs up it.
Sometimes I could pay my wife to watch it and give a thumbs up. I usually have to cook her dinner afterward.
I just usually yell from the shower, Ray, have you watched my video yet?
It's live. It's live.
It's live. So anyways, if you can see from what is above my head, the first game that we're going to go over, Jacksonville Jaguars, red hot Jags, comeback kids, literally.
Yeah.
Versus, the seasoned vets, Jason. And this was going to be a blowout game. But Patrick Mahomes got rolled up, and it got super scary for the Chiefs really fast.
Yeah, they really did. The injury that happened to Patrick Mahomes reminded me of the injury that happened to Dak Prescott. The only difference was Dak Prescott's injury a couple years ago, his foot went sideways. And I was like, holy crap, I bet you this guy broke it. But no, he just got a high ankle sprain. But you could tell he was barely able to walk on it. Even just doing handoffs, he was doing a skip handoff to his running back. Anytime your star player, the majority of the reason why you're even in the playoffs and have the record and been as successful as you are is because of this dude, Patrick Mahomes. And when you see him get injured like that, you're just like, okay, what's going to happen? My whole thing is, it's he came to play. He threw a little tantrum. He's so kid on the side and I don't want to go inside. I don't want to do it. But are these a type of injury that kind of gets worse in the first week? Is it going to? I have a feeling he's going to play either way, right? But is the injury going to get worse within the next couple of days, or does it automatically start getting better?
Well, it's pretty rare because I was listening to Rich Eisen today, and he was just saying how he's never seen this other than Ben. I was gonna say Ben Affleck for the Steelers, but he'd be playing for the Patriots. That Ben Affleck.
Oh, yeah.
But no, Ben Roethlisberger did it in a playoff game, and then but I guess Ryan Tannehill did it this year too. But yeah, so immediately you're okay. You saw him he had better tape. You're like, oh, don't worry. I thought it was funny in the halftime. He's like, oh, he looks like He looks like he got better tape. It's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not like he
His
like
ankle.
got any like anything serious or like some actual work done to him. They just taped it up better.
Mhm.
So but yeah, so anyways, all the stuff I was hearing from football players today and yesterday was that adrenaline at first, but the next couple of days, dude, it's gonna swell up. So I think a bigger deal is he's not gonna be able to prepare like he usually is for this game. And he's not going to be nearly as mobile as he usually is. And if Patrick Mahomes is usually, it's not like he's a super mobile quarterback, but he likes to roll left and right all the time and kind of throw across the field on the move.
Yeah, he really makes a lot of magic when he's running, scrambling out. If you can ask Chris Collinsworth, he always mentions like, I can't believe what I just saw from this guy. These kids nowadays are just amazing, rolling out, doing whatever they can. You want to see that back in my day? Hey, uh, when he's got, I mean, either way, he's still got if staying in the pocket, he's still going to make incredible throws. He's still going to be Patrick Mahomes. Even without the scrambling, he's still going to get it done. He's still going to get it done. But but he's going up against his kryptonite next week. That's a whole other thing to talk about.
Well,
Uh,
Jason, I just want to say they wouldn't have won that game if it wasn't, Patrick Mahomes was such a big deal going out for that, what was like 2 drives or whatever. Chad
mhm.
Henne went from like the 9-yard line and went and scored. I forget who. I think it was another Travis Kelsey touchdown pass, but still, dude. If they didn't do that, like that was such a momentum shift right there. It's not like it was. I know it looks like a close game, but dude, the Chiefs kind of had like that. I don't know. It wasn't as close as it seems. But dude, if he wouldn't have scored that time, it would have been like a tie game pretty much at the very end.
Yeah, that was Travis Kelsey's second touchdown was from Chad Henne, and Chad Henne, he did the same thing last year when the Chiefs were playing against the Browns and Mahomes had that concussion, and they were like, "Oh, it's all over now." But Chinny still held Henny, Chinny, hit him right here in the chinny chin. Um, Chad Henne was able to prevail, and I think they even went down. I could be wrong, but I think it was like a 4th and 2 that the Chiefs went for, and Henne was able to convert, and it was able to get the win. And then Mahomes came back the next week, and the rest is history. But if that would have happened, if Mahomes would have gone out with a concussion, this week, even if Chad Henne went in there and completed the game for the win, Mahomes probably would have been out for next week against the Bengals.
Yeah, I know, dude. And so that's the big question for next week because what they're already 2-0 against the Chiefs, the Bengals are, and so now they're going in without a full 100%, you know Patrick Mahomes, and they just proved. We'll talk about this game later, but yeah. Anyways, dude, staying with the Jaguars, I do want to say, like, as far as momentum swings in that game, that Agnew, I mean, he set them up for that red zone drive and everything, where he fumbled it like on the
Yeah.
7-yard line or something like that. But man, if he would have just held on to that ball, like the Chiefs could have lost that game like 2 different ways. Agnew keeping that ball and then Henne not being amazing, on that one drive.
Yeah. Once that fumble happened and the Chiefs recovered, I think that was really, all the air went out of the balloon, so to speak, and it was kind of. I mean, I think that Jacksonville still got like a 3-and-out when the Chiefs took over, but by that time there just wasn't enough time left, and you feel kind of bad because Agnew played well. He had like 2 great returns in that game, but unfortunately, it kind of cost him there at the end. Going off of that, Trevor Lawrence. Oh my gosh, dude, Trevor Lawrence. That dude was trying so hard. This game, even though they lost, scored only 20 points. Man, it made me even respect Trevor Lawrence even more. Just the way that he was playing out there. Start off kind of slow, I guess, but they do. But he still looked good. He made amazing throws. He ran when he needed to. Like he was awesome to watch. I really liked it. He had like 217 yards on 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was only sacked twice, but I'm really excited for Trevor Lawrence next year.
Yeah, no, and after the football game, he was given like some really good comments is like, dude, we're gonna be back here the next. I think that this year was so big for his confidence, and even this game, dude, like being in this game till the very end. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy by my legs right
Yeah.
now. But Jason, I do want to just Travis Etienne Jr. I know that you were higher on him than I was going into next season.
Hmm.
And dude, he actually had a really good playoff run. I mean, 2 games, like the last 2 or 3 games. Let me see.
Yeah, 10 carries, 62 yards, and 1 touchdown. He also had 3 receptions on 3 targets for 18 yards. He produced pretty well. I think one of the problem is like I don't think he's like the pass catcher. I felt like a lot I was seeing like Agnew and Hasty in there a lot on the passing downs. But when they're unfortunately when the Jaguars are like chasing the lead, they're trying to catch up to the lead. You kind of stop running the ball as much. But out of his 10 carries, he really produced a lot.
And he looked good. It was
Oh,
going right up the gut, dude. Like,
yeah.
people think of him as being an outside runner or whatever. Between the tackles, ETN was actually very surprising yesterday.
Hmm.
And, but, like, he's just kind of sporadic as attempts, like 22, 9, 7. On that 9 carry game a while ago was 100 yards and a touchdown. Then 20 carries against the Chargers. Almost said Clippers. That's funny. And then 10 attempts here. So it's, his usage is kind of sporadic, but you can see the talent there on a Doug Peterson team. So it's not like you never want him to. I don't think he's ever going to be your number 1 running back, but I think that a number 2 running back is not a bad deal for him.
What how many carries did he get last game against the Chargers?
20 versus the Chargers
Yeah, 20 carries against the Chargers.
and 109 yards.
I did not expect that because they were down 28-0. I thought they were going to give up on that. But
That was a big part of the comeback, dude. Like they ran the ball a lot.
yeah, so I'm not saying he's going to be number 1 running back next year, but I still like him in my squad.
And he had 5 fumbles this year, so that's a decent amount.
I mean, you got to think about it. He's not a rookie, but he is a rookie. This is his first
Yeah.
year actually playing and figuring out the speed and the blocking and practicing with the team. So I'm only hoping that he gets even better next year.
And then Christian Kirk went out injured. He came right back. Like he acted like something terrible happened, but he came right back. 7 for 52 and a touchdown. But the biggest thing I think is the 14 targets. And I just like to see Trevor Lawrence able to hyper target his number 1 wide receiver, because Jason and I were talking about Calvin Ridley next year, dude. We'll see.
Yeah. And hopefully it's a better successful catch rate than 50% when you're getting targeted 14 times.
Right. And then Jason, Evan Ingram. I know you wouldn't mind him having. I'm guessing you wouldn't mind having him next. I keep on talking about he's going to be one of the tight ends that you're going to have to pay something for. He's going to be like not middle rounds, but he's not going to be super late. He's not going to be super early. How do you? They were able to contain him.
Yeah. Yeah, he only had like one big game for like 16 yards, but you know what? He really helped out Trevor Lawrence too in a couple of clutch catches in the game, some third down conversions. But yeah, only 6 targets, 5 receptions, 31 yards. They really did a good job on containing him. Um, Not the other tight end. Jacksonville didn't do a good job containing the other tight end.
Yeah.
Kelsey,
So
talking about Travis Kelsey.
yeah, but I mean, last game he had 11 targets, 93 yards, and a touchdown. And then he kind of had 4 targets, 2 targets, 8 targets. Before that, 113 yards. So he's capable. I think you're drafting. It's not like he does have low floors. I mean, 4 for 27, 1 for 16. But you're going to be drafting him next year for his ceiling, which is 100 yards and a touchdown plus. So
He's still a young guy.
yeah, I mean, he was a first round draft pick, man. Hyper athletic tight end.
Yeah,
28 years old.
28 years old. He had 1,100 yards this year and 5 touchdowns. And next year, I know we're getting Calvin Ridley, but Marvin Jones's contract is up, and he'll probably be going somewhere. Might be leaving.
So
He's
yeah,
retired. I don't know.
so awesome year for the Jags. they set themselves up for fantasy. There's going to be, they weren't drafted high at all this year.
Yeah.
Jason and I were actually pushing for them preseason. But next year you're gonna have to pay for these guys. Like Trevor Lawrence, dude, he's gonna be like next year's Justin Herbert. It's gonna be stuff like that.
Yep. They're gonna go higher.
Yeah. So all right, Jason, and then Patrick Mahomes. How do you feel about if you own him and you picked him in your fantasy playoff challenge? You're still rolling with him getting those 2 times points next week, or you kind of
I
what
think
are
you
you doing?
got to just because it's Patrick Mahomes. Um, but the foot is going to be. They are going against the Bengals. The foot could be an issue, but I think if you have a chance to get double points from Patrick Mahomes, I think you got to stick with it. Um, oh my gosh, Travis Kelce had 17 targets.
So I was gonna say, dude, like I was like, man, you know what? I could have almost switched to Kelsey because remember I was like, I don't think the Bengals have the offensive lineman to make the Super Bowl this year
Mm-hmm.
before this last game. And then I was like, dude, I could just switch and literally get 2 times the points from Kelsey the first week. Like you would have too, man. 2 touchdowns, 98 yards, 14 catches. Like you could have pivoted to him this week and still got like just blown all the other tight ends away, even with their 2 times points, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and Tony was second in targets with 7.
And
So
you
they're
saw him lower his shoulder on that one dude.
yeah, so they're really trying to get him involved. They're really trying to get him in the game to do what he could do. He's really great at with missed tackles and just trying to get out and open field and run the ball. Juju Smith is any wide receiver really. I mean,
Yeah, he's a
Marquez
jag.
Valdez Scantling, he had a touchdown, but that was his only reception of the game.
He was 70 or tied for 22nd this year in receptions with only 78. He only had 3 touchdowns this season. I mean, we thought that he was going to be a steal, going in. Like he was just as big as a bust as I mean, he had some decent games for you, but he was just as big as a bust as Michael Pittman and Gabe Davis and Cortland Sutton, everybody I drafted.
Yeah. Juju Smith wasn't too far behind with only 2 receptions on 2 targets.
Dude, he's had like 30 yards or less, like 4 out of the 5 last games, dude.
Yeah, it's looking like it's Kelsey or Tony.
Yeah, and like Kelsey, like the way it worked out this season, I mean, I get #1 draft pick next season, and it's like the smart thing to probably do would be to take Kelsey, Jason. But
One
I
overall.
want to see, yeah, I mean, realistically. But like, we don't like his age, but Patrick Mahomes is gonna be great for how long? And who does he have to throw to? So it's like, I don't know. If there's no other receiving options again like this year, I'll have to think about it. But well, we need it. This is gonna be a very interesting offseason for the Chiefs.
Yeah. Let's see what they could do. I had Jarrett McKinnon in my fantasy lineup. Even with double the points, he only got me like 11 carries for 25 yards. He didn't even have a reception. I was following the Jarrett McKinnon wagon, the train. He had like 9 touchdowns in 6 games. But Isaiah Pacheco, 12 carries, 95 yards.
Yeah, and I mean he's had like 15 carries, 14 carries, 9 in a touchdown, 8 in a touchdown, 12 carries and 95 yards. So man, if he just was the #1 dude, he would have no problem. And I thought what I thought was interesting was CEH was supposed to be back like this week or for this playoff run, and he didn't get any play. So but dude, yeah, like Jarrett McKinnon was a big disappointment. Like he's never been that most efficient runner, but part of the things we were saying, about maybe Tony got his targets. And they just didn't throw the ball in general that much, anyways. I mean, Patrick Mahomes only had like what under 200 yards, 30 attempts.
195.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a product of that. But Jared McKinnon's a dangerous guy because you're relying on a running back to get receiving to get all of his points pretty much from receiving. But it was working out for how long, dude? For how like 7 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. Not no more. His streak has ended. But screw it. I'm going to keep him in there. I don't even think I have any chance in our league. Uh, you bumped up. You're up there.
What am I now?
I think you're second.
I was gonna say I thought I might be first after this because I put
Jake
all
is
my up. If it wasn't for T Higgins, because I was like, dude, T Higgins is gonna have a big game. I just don't. I'm like, I believe in Joe Burrow so much. I was like, yeah. And then you saw. We'll talk about this later, but yeah, it's paying off to put all your eggs in the same basket. The only problem is
you better win.
yeah, and I was very encouraged by the Bengals offensive line in the snow, but I think being in the snow was a big part of it. All
Well,
right.
I'm pretty much done with that. I just want to say I'm excited for Jacksonville players for next season. I really like Trevor Lawrence, and I like the way the direction they're going.
And Kadarius Toney is probably going to be the most interesting pick for the Chiefs next season because, like I told you, I'm not going to draft a running back for the Chiefs. I mean, yeah, in the playoffs, that's great, dude. They actually run the ball, bless you. But regular season, just I like Isaiah Pacheco, I like Jake McKinnon, but it really doesn't matter to me.
Yep, yep, yep.
What was the next game, Jason? I can't remember.
Giants are the Eagles.
All right, you want to tell the people what you were looking for in this game?
Well, the Giants are coming off that huge win, that upset. I was going to see if it's going to carry over to a divisional game against the league's best team, record-wise, with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, a couple weeks rested from his shoulder injury. What was going to happen? Was it going to be a close game? Was it going to be a blowout? It was not a close game. No, it wasn't. 38-7. Giants. Daniel Jones looked back to his normal ways of 135 yards passing, 1 interception, 24 yards rushing. I think it looked like the Eagles. They scored. You got a 14-0. Then it was like right after that they were like, boom, we're not going to give it to Saquon Barkley anymore. He only had 9 rushes in the game. He did have 2 receptions. He was second in receptions on the Giants squad um with 2 receptions. 2 receptions. The Giants could not keep a hold of the ball long enough to do anything fantasy wise. They didn't look good. I do got a question for you because we always talk about Dayball for Coach of the Year, right? Why not Doug Peterson for Coach of the Year? I was thinking about that too. I was like, he went from like zero. He did the same thing as the Giants, but won the division and had a bigger turnaround.
Because everybody, I mean, as much as everybody, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I've been muting and unmuting because my dog is getting into stuff. I was just thinking it's a bigger turnaround, man. Like, dude, I mean, yeah, the Jags picked number 1 like the last 2 seasons or whatever, but they had Trevor Lawrence, And as far as people, I mean, people had not given up on Trevor Lawrence just yet. Where Daniel Jones was like, dude, written off for dead, and he got him playing pretty well. I mean, not this game, but overall, Daniel Jones, got them to the playoffs, and they won so many games they weren't supposed to. Same thing with the Jags. I would imagine that Doug Peterson is a close second, but like, I don't know. I think that Brian Daboll's been like, dude, I don't know. I wonder if Doug Peterson has won a Coach of the Year before too.
I don't know. Maybe the year he went to the Super Bowl.
Because once you win one, it's like harder to win a second one.
Yeah, it like expected. I'm not disagreeing. I think Dayball, this is his first year there, and he was able to do what he did. I'm just saying, like, I was just thinking about that during the game. I was like, Jacksonville had probably the biggest turnaround this season, and they won a division. I don't hear a lot of talk about Doug Peterson getting it, but it probably will go to Dayball, and I'm okay with that. He did pretty good for the Giants.
Yeah. I know they had a terrible game, but dude, they were going against a well rested like Eagles team. And they didn't it's not like I'm surprised they didn't run the ball more. I didn't I don't know, dude. It's just because they were averaging, over 5 yards carry pretty much. 20 for 118 and a touchdown.
I wanted to see Saquon Barkley, man. I wanted to see him. I like me some Saquon Barkley. We just did loose rankings. Was he in the top 5? You got to do something a little bit more than just 9 carries and 2 receptions with that guy. He's your team's best player. Utilize
Well,
him, even when
and
you're down.
well, dude, Darius Slay, like the cornerback for the Eagles, he did a really good job against Isaiah Hodgins, and usually Isaiah Hodgins is like Daniel Jones's man. Like this whole like, dude, he's been getting hyper targeted with touchdowns for the last like 10 games while he's been playing well. And Richie James, this is like a normal Richie James game, like 10 targets and 50 yards. But dude, like taking Isaiah Hodgins out there and then seeing that Darius Slayton didn't do anything, that means that there was like no offense. So I bet you Darius Slay was on Hodgins because he's been their guy. So
Oh, yeah. I mean, their defense is pretty good. Eagles they have a good defense, and they were able to use those 2 weeks and just they play this team already 2 times in the year. They just played them a couple weeks ago in week 18. They know what to expect. They know Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. Who to cover. They did everything that they needed to do. Daniel Jones was sacked 5 times. That guy was run out of the pocket like it was during apocalypse, and he's trying to go to the grocery store and get some toilet paper before anybody else got any. Right? He was just running for his life out there. Even he had a fumble. I don't think he lost it. Um, yeah. I mean, even the defense couldn't really do anything against the Eagles either.
that was funny, Jason. My dog come up here. But so I do want to say though that if you're an Eagles fan and it's like this is exactly what you wanted to see. You wanted them to see like dominate on the ground with Jalen Hurts like barely throwing the ball and getting a couple touchdowns. So I mean Kenneth Gainwell was just garbage time, but
Yeah.
dude, I mean Boston Scott, they've got 4 running backs pretty much, and that they could hit you with. So
Yeah.
they're going against the 49ers did not play well this last game, but they did stop the run for the most part, except for Tony Pollard. Stopped that one for about a year. But yeah, dude, like they're not going to be able to run the ball like this against San Francisco. So next week's matchup is going to rely heavily on Jalen Hurts. But the thing is that you look at this defense, they sacked them 5 times. Jason, go ahead.
No, I'm just like ding ding ding. You got it. You're right. Yeah. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Like say that again. Say this game relies on Jalen Hurts.
This game relies on Jalen Hurts.
Did you hear it?
No, I didn't hear
it. It'll be on the video. Watch, it'll be on the video. As long as it's on the video. I totally agree with you. Like the Niners got the best defense overall in the league. They're going to start or they're going to stop. The running game. They're going to stop the running game from the running backs. Or are they going to stop the running game from Jalen Hurts? I think Jalen Hurts is still going to get his. I think we're going to see more passing and more running out of Jalen Hurts in the next game against the Niners.
And the scary thing is, dude, they've got two wide receivers that can hurt you because they're going to contain Dallas Goedert because they're like number 1 against tight ends all season, but they don't do that well. I think they're like 16 or 22 or something like that against wide receivers this year. So it's not good, man, going against a team with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, and you have to stop the run. So
yeah.
As far as the matchup next week, I am seeing how bad Brock Purdy could. Seeing how a good defense played Brock Purdy, because that's the first time. Okay. And they actually shut him down. So they're going to need, dude, it's just, they're going to score points and they're going to have to come back. I'm putting all my eggs in San Francisco's basket, Jason. And that there is scary to me. It is scarier for me than, I have a better feeling about the Bengals winning next week than the 49ers beating the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, when we discussed this in earlier games, we both have the Bengals and Niners going to the Super Bowl, but I am damn near split on this Eagles 49er game. I think because of the defense that the Niners will likely win this game. But if the Eagles win, I'm not going to be surprised at all. I think I think the Eagles have a good enough offense, a good enough defense, and Jalen Hurts likely an MVP candidate for this year. I think that it's going to be he's going to be the deciding factor. And if he plays well, Philadelphia to the Super Bowl again, I don't know.
And it all comes down to the Eagles' run defense too. Like if they can stop the 49ers from running the ball. I mean, you saw what the Cowboys did. They were able to stop the 49ers from running the ball. And that's what just stifled Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
So he was putting, third and longs all the time and stuff like that. And he couldn't really handle it. So that it's gonna be the Eagles stopping the run and the Eagles passing game. Because I believe in the 49ers stopping the run. But dude, it's gonna be so hard for the 49ers to stop both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. And Jason, Dallas Goedert came back this week, and he caught a touchdown.
He was the other tight end in my fantasy league that I was like, maybe I should play him. And I was like, no, I'm going to stick with George Kittle just because I think they're going to the Super Bowl. So I'm sticking with it. And then there you go. Look what happened.
And
Dallas,
so,
5 receptions, 58 yards, and 1 touchdown. And you know what? The receiving core could have got a lot more, but they didn't need to do it. But you got Miles Sanders just running the ball for 17 times for 90 yards. That's all they did. They got up 14-0. They just ran it.
I
Just
think, yeah.
the ball.
And I think Miles Sanders will be a value if, depending on who they draft and stuff, Miles Sanders will be another value pick next year because it's not like anybody really cares that much about him. But he still gets volume on a great offense. And he's been unlucky with a lot of touchdowns. And then A.J. Brown, Jason, we talked about how this is one of the two offenses that can support two top 15 wide receivers. And then
Yeah.
you see Devonta Smith go off.
Mm-hmm.
So AJ Brown is probably going to be, the focus of the defense over Devonta Smith. So, if they don't throw the ball that much, it's not that big of a surprise that a lot of it went to, short stuff, Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next game. I think AJ Brown will probably be more involved next game.
All right, Mr. Jason. Well, I think that is all I need to talk about.
Yeah, I'm good. We got one more game to discuss. A heartbreaking game, but
There's two more games.
there's 2 more games we need to discuss. But these are actually the 2 funner games to talk about. I think the Sunday games were better than the Saturday games. I was really excited for Sunday.
Yeah.
And then I got the press. So I needed to go to the gym and do a bench press. But that didn't help. So what do? I have
What?
no clue.
Did you work out?
No, I didn't.
I didn't think you were going to be working out today because you're just got over being sick.
Yeah, I'm just trying to rap. Rappers all lie about what they do. So. I'm on a boat. I'm getting seasick. Okay. I'm gonna stop this video and we're gonna catch you guys here in 5.3 seconds.
We back, people. We back. So this is our divisional round weekend wrap-up show. We already went over the Jacksonville Jaguars versus Kansas City and the Giants versus the Eagles on this, same episode. So you can rewind a little bit, but this is just our break. And we're getting into an amazing game to watch on your TV, maybe not in person. It would have been cool to see it in person. Probably wouldn't have been able to see much though, Jason. Bengals versus the Bills.
Yeah. This was I had no idea what was going on with the weather. And I turned on the game and it was snowing. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be a good one. Going in, obviously we talked about this in our last video, the struggles, the linemen that are out for Cincinnati. They had 3 out. That really concerned me. I think it concerned you too. We were like, dang, man, this is not looking good for our predictions here. Yeah, their backups are excellent. They have excellent backup linemen. They scored, I think, on the first drive of the game. They really set the tone early. And it was like, It was all Cincinnati from there.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to say that yeah, Cincinnati. So they even said it on the broadcast, but I've heard this for a long time. Backup offensive linemen, all offensive linemen, has the one thing they have in common is they all prefer run blocking to pass blocking. So you saw a lot more run plays, and Joe Mixon actually did pretty well. Uh, I stuck with him. I stuck with all the Bengals in a fantasy football playoff challenge. It paid off. I got 2 times Mixon points, and Joe Burrow looked, dude. They had that stat. He average time to throw was like 2.2 seconds. That's the second fastest in the NFL. I imagine the fastest is probably Tom Brady, but so also in the snow, it's harder for defensive linemen to get their usual what I'm trying to their start or what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And it's easier for offensive linemen to kind of just kind of they're going backwards, not forwards. So there was a lot of elements at play that actually really helped the Bengals offensive line this week, Jason.
Yeah. I like that you have Joe Mixon and I don't, and then he goes and has a 20 carry game, 105 yards, 1 touchdown, and well, he only had 2 receptions for 18 yards. I thought he had more on 3 targets.
It seemed like he had more.
Yeah. Um. Also, one thing I seem to notice throughout the year is that people were able to run on the Bills. So with the snow and the Bills defense, this was a good matchup for him, and he outperformed Piran too, Samaji Piran, which is not an easy task throughout the season apparently when you have Joe Mixon. But in the playoffs, Joe Mixon came here to play. He came to play.
Yeah, and so Joe Burrow, he actually ran the ball a decent amount because they needed some on third downs. He got some crucial third downs, and then you're looking at this like, dude, so many people lost bets on probably Josh Allen's rushing totals. Joe Burrow had 31 yards. Josh Allen only had 26. You would never guess that ever.
Yeah, Cincinnati's defense was here to play. They were here to make a statement against these Buffalo Bills.
That Apple, I forget his first name. He's
Eli.
been yeah, he's been around the league. He actually was playing really well on Stephon Diggs. Uh but yeah, dude. All of the Bills need to fix their offensive line, number one. And
Mhm.
then, what I saw from the Bengals this game was what I thought I was going to see last game, and they showed none of that. So maybe they were like looking past, I'm trying to remember who they played last week, Jason. Who was it?
The Ravens.
Man, I'm sure they weren't looking past the Ravens. I think the Ravens just have an amazing offensive and defensive line. Because they were
Yeah, I'm sure.
bullying because they were bullying the Bengals, and I was like, oh my god, and they're going to be out 3 offensive linemen. So it just kind of makes you. And dude, they went through the free agents on the Bills. It's like a Poirier, their safety. It was two of their starting defensive tackles, like Phillips and something Oliver or something like that. Dude,
Yeah, Hoye even went out with an injury. I'm not sure if he came back.
yeah, they hit each other when they ran into each other. So like the Bengals looked like they did in the division, at the end of last year in the playoffs, and the Bills could not. They one thing I saw was sorry, Jason. Anyways,
No, keep going.
they were saying like when Joe Burrow gets the ball, like it was like a second. He knows where he's throwing the ball. Like, and then you watch Josh Allen, it's like he's running left, he's running right, and then it's like, dude, he throws the ball at the last second. Like, and that's every single time. So like some of this is coaching, and we talked about Brian Dayball not being there and how he's regressed. And dude, like games like this are just really shows.
Yeah, I mean, who else really knows it was Stephon Diggs, right?
So we this
That's
we
what he was
saw
doing,
this in Minnesota too.
is what he was doing. Well, and then look what happened. Stephon Diggs was like, I want out, you know? And I think that's what Colin Hurd was actually talking about a couple of weeks ago with the Justin Jefferson thing. It's like they have the great talent, but if they're not performing the way they should, they're just like, take me somewhere where I feel like I can win. But, you know, Diggs, what did Diggs?
4 for 35. But he had 10 targets. It's just
Yeah, he led in targets, which he's been doing all year, but Allen couldn't get it to him. Also, there was a play where couldn't tell if it was like a fumble or a pass. ended up being recovered by the Bengals, but then they said it was a forward pass, so it was like incomplete. It was kind of there towards the end, but that's like the same arm that he also had that piece of crap ligament injury, the piece. And I was wondering, I was like, well, that's not going to help him if that hit, because you saw him kind of like he actually went into the tent, I think, for like 2 minutes while it was under review, and then he rushed back out there. And when you're seeing that, you're just like, okay, well, that's not going to be helpful towards anybody on the receiving corps. But I think you're absolutely right. Like Joe Burrow knew where he was going to go with the ball. Josh Allen, um, he looked like it wasn't just for sure. It was like he wasn't sure. Like, oh yeah, he's got that great wide receiver, Stephon Diggs. But when it came to the like, even when he would throw the ball, it looked like he just wasn't. He didn't have any confidence in it. He was just like underthrown, overthrown. Even Diggs is like, why are you throwing it here? Throw it here. During the game. It's actually funny because well, not really funny, but they also drafted Josh Allen because he Colorado or not Colorado. I don't know
Oh,
why.
cold weather. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
I don't know why I said Colorado. I meant to say the
Dakota.
draft.
Oh, in the draft.
In the draft, they drafted him because he's used to cold weather. I want to say, Idaho. I'm going to take a look. Wyoming. He's from Wyoming, and so this is what they actually brought him in for because it was a late game of the season and there's snow on the ground and it's cold and he got outperformed by a younger dude named Joe Burrow. Even though Joe Burrow's cool, man. I like he's cool. He's cool.
There's a as of right now, dude. I mean, it's just easy to say that every time, but Josh Allen could turn it around. But just the way they were playing, it's like, dude, him and Joe Burrow and Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes are by far like the top tier of quarterbacks right now. But Josh Allen could very easily be there. I mean, you saw that last year, dude. Like at the end of last year, people were like, "Who's better?" Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen? It's
Yeah.
just but Patrick Mahomes got to keep Andy Reid, and now Josh Allen just has a bunch of defensive players and they fixed Patrick Mahomes' offensive line like in a season pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's been like 5 seasons with Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, and he's had terrible offensive lines every single year. So no run game, no offensive line. It's like he needed Brian Daboll, and now that Brian Daboll is gone, you can see that this is just not good. But I do want to say, Jason, Diggs, he had 2 100-yard games coming into this game.
Yeah. Who were the defenses that he played against? Miami
And I think it was New England as well.
and New England. Well, that's pretty good defense, but
I was gonna say I'm surprised they didn't take him out, but yeah, dude. But Gabe Davis, I mean, I felt like they were trying to feed Gabe Davis, and like he only had 4 targets, 2 for 34. It was a weird game for them, dude.
and like Cole Beasley came back and he's like, for this.
He made an important catch, but that was about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jason, and then on the other side of the ball, man, I think that Joe Mixon's actually a great play for next week. Because I mean, what's the MO on like, you want to run the ball against Kansas City. So
Yeah, try to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands.
So I'm feeling good about Joe Mixon next week. And then Jamar Chase keeps on proving why, dude, he should have had 2 touchdowns. That's when I texted you. I was like, hey, did you keep all your Bengals? I was hoping you were going to say no.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, dude, Joe Burrow like just threw another touchdown to Jamar Chase. We're going to kill it. And Hayden Hurst, man, like I've been a big Hayden Hurst was on my waiver show for a year pretty much. He's picking up all the T. Higgins slack. So
yeah, and so Jamar Chase obviously led the game with targets for the Bengals. He had 5 receptions, 61 yards, and a touchdown. And out of the slot receiver and Boyd and the number 2 and T. Higgins, he definitely outperformed them. I think it was a tight end. Tight end also had the 5 receptions, and then Samaji also had 5 receptions. So the wide receiver core didn't really do much, in Boyd and Higgins. He was going somewhere else. I don't know if that was just something in the game plan or whatnot, but I think next week is going to be the week where you're going to see T. Higgins.
I feel like T. Higgins is going to blow up at least one time. Like I should, when I thought about it harder, I was like, dude, I should have pick one guy from one team, Tyler, if I'm going for upside. But I just didn't like any of the receiving options from Brock Purdy except Kittle because I started Kittle too. So what's the difference? Um, but I kind of wish I would have went with Debo, but we'll go over Debo. At least he's involved. I know he didn't even do that great, but
Yeah. So one thing to look at is that they're playing the Chiefs next week. Uh, Travis Kelsey had 14 receptions. Dawson Knox, he actually led the team in receptions, but with 5 and 65 yards. I don't know if that means anything. There's obviously a huge difference between Dawson Knox and Travis Kelsey, but when you got Patrick Mahomes who won't throw the ball to anybody else, and you got the Bengals defense playing as well as they are, what's going to happen?
yeah.
We're going to have to wait and see. I don't know. Is Travis Kelsey going to get shut down? I don't know. I don't know. I just do this for fun. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh my God, Jason! All right, I've got to remember these. You got two shorts going on right now. You're like too short.
I'm like too short and some play it. Beep, beep. Trying not
I
to
was
cuss.
thinking, man, I used to listen to Too Short all the time, and now I can't even think of one of his songs off the top of my head.
Blowjob Betty. Uh, Blowing Balloon Betty.
Anyways, I think this was a weird game for them. Dude, James Cook, their patch cut. They didn't really trust. They were keeping in more pass protection with Devin Singletary throwing screens to him. I mean, dude, Devin Singletary got 8 targets and James Cook got 0. So James Cook, what are they going to do next season, dude? They need as much as I love James Cook, they need an offensive line before they can start. Man, part of the success last year, dude, was they started running the ball a lot, except for that Kansas City Chiefs game where they just couldn't do it. And they didn't run the ball any games this season, dude, like at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. They need a different offensive coordinator back in here.
It's almost like the deal with the Chiefs is also the same way with the Bills. They're just going to throw and throw and throw. There's almost, I mean, who would you rather have? Who performed better at this year? Was it Double Singletary or Isaiah Pacheco? Probably Singletary, right?
I'd probably, I
Just because
think
he
it's
had the touchdowns.
I think it's Pacheco, dude. But I
Either
mean,
way,
he had 5 touchdowns all season, so it's not like that it was any good. I mean, he had a 100-yard game and a touchdown versus Chicago. Every other game has been unstartable.
well, are you talking about Singletary?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying because just like the Chiefs, they're just going to throw the ball. They're just going to throw it. How many opportunities? He had 6 rushing touchdowns or 6 rushing attempts, and James Cook had 5 rushing attempts. Josh Allen once again led the team in rushing attempts with 8, but he only had like 26 yards.
And this is a defensive coach, Jason, Sean McDermott.
I know.
So
You
it's like,
see some running. You see
what
some
kind
running.
of defensive coach doesn't run the ball, dude? It's just so crazy.
Lovey Smith would be so disappointed. Not mad, but disappointed.
So Josh Allen, he's going to tear up the regular season next season. Draft him as a number top 3 wider as a top 3 quarterback. Devin Singletary's who knows where he's going to be. And depending on the situation, you're going to draft James Cook in the middle rounds if he's the only guy there, maybe. And then, yeah, dude, Stephon Diggs is still on my tier list of he's still in that second tier wide receivers, I'm pretty sure. So,
On Stephon Diggs? Oh yeah. Of
or
course.
maybe third because we put Justin Jefferson by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you put in Justin Jefferson in tier by himself, he's actually in the third tier. But I mean, I still would love to draft Stephon Diggs next season. I've got no issues with the Bills during the regular season, Jason.
Oh no. I mean, besides like their running game, but like even Dawson Knox, you probably got him so late in the rounds, and he performed pretty well. He was grabbing touchdowns all year.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be like, would you want to just wait on Dawson Knox or like pay up and get, Evan Ingram or some of these other people? So, and then Gabe Davis is going to fall so far because he rightfully should, Jason. So, I
Uh,
mean, I mean, I would get Gabe Davis in like such late rounds if he's there, but other than that, I don't want him.
this is Singletary's last year on his contract.
So James Cook, dude, I mean, they're talking about like paying Saquon Barkley to come in there and be with Josh Allen. Um,
Dang, that'd be
but
crazy.
they need a philosophy change, man, and they need to quit investing so much on defense and invest in their offensive line, man.
Yeah, they're not losing anybody on the offensive line next year for free
Yeah.
agency. So
And you saw where they needed Von Miller. You know, they really did need Von Miller.
yeah, it's crazy how one person can make that big of an impact in the game.
They just have no edge rushers, and like when their defensive tackles are usually pretty decent, man. Like I've seen that Oliver Phillips guy like wreck games, but I was very impressed with the Bengals in this game, Jason. I feel good about it next week, especially with
Oh
high
yeah,
ankle sprain for him.
was
So
totally like in a panic mode because of the whole lineman being out, but I'm not too panicky anymore. Joe Burrow don't care. He's like, get out of here, man. I'll throw the ball in less than 2 seconds. Get out,
Joe Burrow is really like a more talented Tom Brady. So
dude. He's gonna be fun to watch during his career.
if he had a, I mean, their defensive coordinators. I've heard his name like 10 times today, but he's actually been doing really well. So if they can keep that defense going and just have Joe Burrow, and they don't even need an offensive line, man. Like, remember when they were like, you need to draft Penei Sewell? Like, what are you guys doing? How are you gonna throw to Jamar Chase if you can't, if you're on your back the whole day? Well,
Yeah,
guess what, dude? They've been getting by because Joe Burrow gets rid of the ball, man. And it's like it's
yeah.
kind of like New England, you know, they make offensive linemen look good there.
Well, I can't remember who the announcer was. I want to say it was Chris Collinsworth, but he kept saying that they were running the Peyton Manning formation. Joe Burrow was.
No, this. He's like, yep, the two backs and the whatever, and he's changing it. And everything I hear is that he's obsessed with tape. You know, I'm obsessed with tape, but you know, blue tape, blue tape, duct tape,
Yeah.
packaging tape, Amazon tape with the wires in it that I cut myself on sometimes when I open the box really fast.
Ouch.
I'm kidding. Whoa.
Yeah, the crowd laughing on that one.
I thought Brittany sneezed into the microphone.
No, she's not even here.
All right, guys. So Jason,
Yep.
I'm good with that game.
Yeah. Uh, Bengals at Kansas City. Bengals for the win. Now to the other game, the last game of the playoff weekend, the one that I was most interested in. Cowboys at the Niners. Rivalry renewed. Last year came down to the final 3 seconds where Dak Prescott decided to run 20 yards when there was only 7 seconds left, or 12 seconds left, and then try to spike it, and they ran out of time. Game over. The end of this game was not better than the ending of last game. Uh, the one thing though is like this year, San Francisco is obviously the better team at this point in the season, so it's not really too surprising that the Cowboys lost. Um, Dak Prescott, he just had, people were like the game of his career last week. Coming into San Francisco with a top rated defense, and he looked like the Dak Prescott of 2022, throwing an interception, multiple interceptions, making bad throws. When you can't, it's very difficult for Dak Prescott to really shine when you can't run the ball. And it was really early on that Tony Pollard left with like it almost looked like the same injury as Patrick Mahomes. The only difference is that Tony Pollard actually broke his ankle.
Well, Tony Pollard has broke his fibia,
Fibia. He broke his fibia.
and this was a
So,
contract year for him.
yeah.
And now the Cowboys are hamstrung with Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott taking up like 50% of their salary cap next season.
Yep. It's I kind of feel bad because the way it looked like was that Pollard was going to probably go somewhere and start and do well, which I mean, he still might. But how long does it usually take to recover from a fibia? Isn't that what like Victor Cruz broke or snapped and he never came back?
I'll say it's not good. I know that. I have to check, but he's got youth. He's got youth on his side. And he's I don't know, man. It's just a lot of his use. His greatness was from speed and elusivity, being elusive. uh, but Jason, I do want to say that
What do you want to say?
Dak did say he would be back as the in the sequel, the Ternovenator 2, and just like the sequel of the first one, the sequel was better than the first. But dude, he really did. Like, I mean, the 49ers defense has not been playing that well. I was kind of expecting to see them score some points after the way he performed last game. Yeah, 2 early interceptions though, dude. Like that, it killed him because they had their opportunities with Brock Purdy,
Yeah.
and the difference was Brock Purdy didn't throw 2 interceptions, pretty much.
He almost had at least one interception that would have really helped out the Cowboys, but Diggs just, Diggs is so sure-handed, man. And it goes right through his hands. I was like, it's not a game where the ball is going towards the Cowboys' way, not bouncing our way. So we need plays like that going against a good team like the San Francisco 49ers. Our defense did pretty well, especially in the first half, right? They really uh, stopped the run. There was no running game at all for the Niners. They were not able to score. They were doing nothing but field goals. Cowboys were kind of always on the verge of doing something. They did have a touchdown that went to Dalton Schultz. Missed the extra point. It's like, are you kidding me right now?
It was blocked.
Well, I know it was blocked, but
Oh, yeah, the way you said it, I was like,
have you have you seen everyone talked about like even the angle of the block that like even if it
oh,
wasn't,
it was super wide. Yeah, I
yeah,
know,
they
I know.
miss it, like I'm just like, oh my god, bye. You're not here next year. Bye. Sign Jason Uthawall. Bye. Hi. Um, and then Dak Prescott turning the ball over. Like it's like, all right, Cowboys got momentum. Let's go. We stopped them. It's time to go in. No, he threw like to I want to say Michael Gallup, but I don't know if he just did not think that like Michael Gallup ran the wrong route or they just weren't on the same page. It looked like he threw it right to the San Francisco 49er, and you're just like, okay, Dak Prescott's back to his old ways. And then it was later, I want to say maybe in the second quarter that I think it was towards the end of the half when they were going down the field, and he just did he didn't see Ward. I can never remember his first name, like so
Kadarius.
Darius Ward jump in front of the pass, deflected. Warner was able to just hand it was bread in the bread went in the bread basket. He just caught it and just ran, and it's just like, dude, you can't be doing this against this team. And then in the second half, the Niners were able to get some sort of a running game going, and it was all downhill from there.
Dude, I can't tell you how many Niner games I've watched this season where it's like tied it's tied at the first half, and then they look like a different team the second half, and they always shut down the other side of the ball. Like, dude, they're leading the league so much in second half points allowed, like it's ridiculous. But yeah, Jason, I thought a big thing, for Dak Prescott, like if you want to help him out, like they got rid of who was the guy they got rid of? Cedric Wilson, right?
Yeah, he went to Miami, and Amari Cooper went to Cleveland.
Yeah, so like I think that this game really showed how, like, if they want to win a Super Bowl, get through super tough defenses, like Dak needs a second option. He's a really good quarterback, but he's not like such a good quarterback. He needs help, dude. It's like he needs talent.
Hmm.
So Michael Gallup, dude, 26 years old, and I know they had high hopes for him. And he was drafted by Dallas, so they like they like their own guys.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about this season? I know he's coming off an injury. Like, would you like them to go get a wide receiver in the offseason?
Well, I don't know. Michael Gallup was doing. I had Michael Gallup, I think, like the previous year, and he was like, he did pretty well. But he
Yeah.
also had like Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb on the team. That was kind of a crazy year for the Cowboys scoring. I don't know if I had something to do with it, just because if if you're going to put your least cornerback on anybody, maybe you would choose Michael Gallup. Because, but then since that, he also had that leg injury. I think he tore his ACL, and he just not getting it. He's not getting as much attention as he did. But CeeDee Lamb had 13 targets, 10 receptions. CeeDee Lamb really improved this year. I think he's going to be their solid number one, of course. But who's going to be the number two? Is it Tony Pollard? Is it Noah Brown? Tony Pollard's not probably going to be there next year. Dalton Schultz, he's gone too.
Yeah.
I mean, they drafted some tight ends. We'll see how that happens. But
you saw him. What did he do? Oh, when he got tackled. He got hit and he went out of bounds, kind of lazy or whatever.
He didn't even get hit. Oh, wait. Are you talking about and they kept running the clock?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that pissed me off. And then it also pissed me off when he caught the ball on the sideline, but he was like, once again, just lazy about it. And he only had 1 foot down. And this dude.
That's with a foot. Oh my God. I forgot about that too. Yeah.
I was like, okay, 7 seconds left. At least now we're closer for like a Hail Mary. And they're like, oh, let's go look that through again and see what happened. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is obviously a catch. There wasn't even like,
Nobody even thought it was not a catch. And then everybody's like, oh yeah, that's not a catch.
Yeah. And then you're just like, dude, come on.
They needed that at the very end. They needed that so bad, dude.
That was so important. And
they still had a chance to win the game, which was crazy.
Yeah. Just like last year. And after seeing that, I was like, dude, get going, bro. Pack your bags and leave this place. Nobody likes you anymore. Go to be a Miami Dolphin.
Seats taken.
Seats taken. Kickback is canceled. You gone.
You can't sit here. Seats taken.
I was really upset. I'm just like, dude, I hate you so much. And he was on my fantasy team. But I was like, I hate you so much right now. But it was also a lot of emotions going through that time or at that time because of the game. We looked like we really had a shot. And then we just couldn't do nothing in the second half.
Well, hey, dude, as far as the Cowboys season goes, they were literally left for dead when Dak Prescott got injured, like game 4 or 5 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they came back.
No, he got injured in the first game.
There you go. So, I mean, like, Cowboys season was amazing. Like, if I was a Cowboys fan, I'd be really happy about it. I just think the only bad thing was just very last play just made the Cowboys look dumb.
Oh, I know. So I'm with you, Tyler. I was one of the guys when they played the Buccaneers in the first week. I was like, dude, I can't wait till 2023. I can't wait for
yeah,
because they just looked awful on both sides. And Dak Prescott hurt his thumb. He was out. I was like, I'm over it. But the defense really stepped up in the absence of Dak Prescott, and the Dak Prescott came back. I think he had a couple of good games, and then the interceptions just didn't stop. They just kept coming and coming. And then it got to the point where the defense wasn't playing well. So, I mean, we had some injuries on the defense. We got down to like we're using a rookie cornerback as our number 2, Bland, which is okay. I think he actually played pretty well. He led the team in interceptions, which is good, with 5. But, he's a rookie, so he's going to make those mistakes. And then, we had Van Der Esch. He got injured towards the end, but he came back, and he was a huge difference in that game. Unfortunately, he's a free agent too, so I really hope they try to keep him though. The offense and the defense could not play together. I think you probably saw that in one game this year, and it was last week in the wild card against the Buccaneers.
That's a good point, Jason. Micah Parsons, 13.5 sacks. So 7th in the league. He is the best defensive player in the league, maybe, Jason. And when you watch that game, throw him over. Yeah. Like McClinchy has no clinch, man. That fool got tossed.
It looked like they were playing a cornhole there, and he was like trying to throw it in the.
I thought you were going to say, look like they're playing Techno Super Bowl. Like when I shake you off.
Oh, because you and your X button, you're just like.
Many years of playing Sonic the Hedgehog, revving my body up.
Yeah.
Mom, Tyler, what are you doing in there?
I'm coming after you and trying to tackle you and Lawrence Taylor, and you're just like, we get a little shuffle, and then you're like, "Bah!" And then you're
But
like,
the guy flies off of you though.
yeah, like you would throw me in the stands, and then I go tumbling, and I freaking break my fibia.
You won't be back for 9 months.
Yeah,
Dude, that's terrible. That was one of the most interesting fantasy stories over the off seasons where it was where Tony Pollard's going to go, and now it's just who knows when that's going to what that's going to be. He's going to be worth a late round pick next year, but we'll see that. Jason, Micah Parsons is only 23 years old.
from Penn State.
He's going to be 24 next season, so you've got like 4 or 5 more years of just kicking butt.
Yeah, they would be dumb not to re-sign him when that time comes.
The Cowboys drafted him, dude. They'll re-sign him.
Demarcus Lawrence played very well too.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. All right, Jason, we have what, 6 minutes left? You want to talk about the 49ers?
Oh my gosh, sorry, just went on a tangent.
No, you're good, dude.
CeeDee Lamb, good for early round selection next year.
He's a top 10. I think he's totally worthy of a top 10. I think we have it listed. We have it on our wide receiver show.
Yeah, go back and watch it.
Please.
Purdy, what would you think? Probably his worst game statistic wise. He didn't have an interception, but he also didn't have a touchdown. He only threw for 214 yards. He was 19 for 29. His QBR was 53.
Yeah, so he probably only got you 8 points, and then so 16 points if you rode with him 2 times. But like I said, I mean, you had a huge game from last week, and that was kind of an outlier. I think, as the defense, I mean, he's going to be facing good defenses until the end now, so
Yeah.
he's going to be lucky to get a touchdown in 200 yards. So usually he was good for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns a game this season. You saw that he, like, when the field shrunk on the red zones, he couldn't really make those high pressure throws. But hey, he's got explosive people on his team, so
Yeah.
he could just throw a 50-yarder at any time.
Well, Deebo Samuel, he was actually second in targets behind Christian McCaffrey. But he only had 4 receptions for 45 yards. George Kittle, he led the way in receiving yards with 95. He had that great catch, that little just right down the middle, toss it 3 times off his head catch. He was 100% on his catch rate. That was Ayuk.
I said don't forget about Brandon Ayuk, but maybe you should, because there's not a big enough piece of the pie, man, when Brock Purdy's under pressure. And
this was a defensive game. They played well. The tight end was the one that really led it, and he only had 5 receptions. He was really going after Christian McCaffrey. Sorry if I just coughed in that. The running game wasn't great. I mean, Elijah Mitchell was able to get 51 yards, average 3.6 yards per carry, but Christian McCaffrey was able to savage anybody who played him, and he got a touchdown because also likely this is double the points. They didn't even score 20 points. This was definitely like a defensive game. Next week, yeah, let's see what happens.
They're gonna have to score next week.
They're gonna have to score next week.
But I think
good game.
I do think that when the Cowboys are playing good defense, that they're a better defense than the Eagles, mostly because of Micah Parsons in the middle of the field. Because I do feel like the Eagles have a more talented front, defensive line. I mean, they traded everything for all these players. So
yeah,
but Micah Parsons, dude, just makes such a big difference. And you watch, like, he didn't get any sacks, but dude, he had so many pressures. It was crazy.
Yeah, he even tipped the ball there, and I thought it was going to be an interception, what we needed, but it didn't happen.
And T.Y. Hilton was supposed to come save the day. Never happened, Jason. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he'd be gone. He'll be gone.
Yeah, but so Christian McCaffrey. So you saw this, man. Like, the Cowboys shut down the run, and Christian McCaffrey, I don't know if he got a little dinged up. He kind of looked like he did. And then you saw a lot more Elijah Mitchell. And then even Elijah Mitchell, like, dude, he's a hard runner, and he got, he was not averaging much per carry, like 3 point something.
Elijah Mitchell,
Yeah.
3.6.
Okay. I don't, when I have it minimized, it doesn't show it to me. So I just have to do it in
Yeah,
my head.
I said it. I said it like a minute ago. That's the only reason I can remember.
It's hard to do. It's hard to, I can't pet and listen at the same time, Jason.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did better than Christian McCaffrey. He had 3.5. So, I mean,
But hey, if you, it was what was good for McCaffrey, and as far as this playoff challenge goes, he got 6 receptions. So I didn't even check to see the way the points added up last week. I'm assuming it's PPR.
yes, yes.
Okay. So hey,
Pretty
dude,
sure.
Christian McCaffrey's still probably top 2 running back. And then yeah, Joe Mixon had a big week. He probably was he might have been the number 1 running back this week. I
Right now,
can't
I
even
think it's McCaffrey, Mixon, Miles.
Saquon.
No, I mean for the games that are left.
Oh,
There's
you're
the
right.
Heaters and then Pacheco, I guess.
Yeah. That's the thing is like, yeah. So we got to see if the dude 49ers and the Eagles are such a good game, man.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
I can't wait to watch that game. Both these games. It's gonna be a good weekend. Good Sunday. I'm glad there's no Saturday game, so it's gonna be a good.
Well, the good news is the challenge for the 49ers is going to be offense, and guess what, dude? They have Kyle Shanahan. So
Yep.
if anybody can fix that for a week, should be him.
We're gonna see some plays. Get some George Kittle. George Kittle down the middle.
George Kittle down the middle.
For the future, the center for the Cowboys, Connor McGovern, is also a free agent, so he's an unrestricted free agent.
And they
So
had that rookie man, that rookie left tackle or
Tyler
Tyler
Smith. Tyler Smith
He
should
ended up
get
being
MVP
an
this year.
amazing player for you guys.
Yeah, he's going to be great. Should get MVP, but he's not a position player, so he's not going to get it. He had to play every position this year except center, and he did well. But anyway, we're under a minute. We're pretty much going to wrap this up. We're all done. We done ski.
Sign us out, Jason.
All right. I did this as a signature for a sign, and I'm pointing out. So Tyler, do your catchphrase, and we'll see everyone later.
Get you on the flip side.